after finishing in Strasbourg, which was 3 or 4 years, I imagine.
3 years.
3 years. That's when you and your wife-to-be said, let's go to Switzerland.
That's right.
What was the draw there? What was it? Why Switzerland and why Neuchâtel?
Well, it was initially, and we went to Lausanne to work on an animated film project,
Right.
and which carried on for a while before disappearing. And then eventually, you know, it sounds a bit trite, but Neuchâtel looks so nice from the train.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were going back and forth between Lausanne and Strasbourg, and every time we went through Neuchâtel, we thought, oh, that looks really pretty. And so we ended up here.
Okay.
And we've been here ever since.
Yeah.
But when we arrived in Switzerland, I am appalled by my ignorance of the country. I had no idea what language they actually spoke, because we'd heard conflicting reports of several languages being spoken in this tiny little country.
Right.
And we didn't know, we didn't know anything about Switzerland at all. So it was discovery after discovery.
Okay.
And that's continued on until today, actually.
Right.
It's one of those countries that's complicated to understand and needs time to be appreciated.
Yeah. So after you moved to Switzerland, or decided Neuchâtel is going to be the place where we'll settle, did you ever think that you maybe should go somewhere else, or was Neuchâtel actually got its velvet claws in you at that time, and you said this is the spot?
We were honestly, being two foreigners, we were looking for somewhere where we could both be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Switzerland seemed to be welcoming in the sense that everything is quite cozy and small.
Mm-hmm.
A big city in Switzerland is 100,000 people is a big city.
Right.
And there's no need for us to be in any vast metropolis to find work. We don't need to be anywhere actually to work. Most of the work takes place with people on the other side of the world.
Right.
So Switzerland seemed nice. Neuchâtel seemed lovely. There's a lake.
Yeah.
There's an old town.
Right.
It was very much the end of the road at that time.
Yeah.
1985, the freeway hadn't yet been
That's
built.
right. Yeah.
And it felt pleasurably remote, but nonetheless well connected.
Yeah.
And we learned to appreciate the trains. We learned to appreciate, everything about Switzerland.
Sure.
And we're simply here today.
Yeah. All these years later.
Years later.
Tell us a little bit about your impression of the quality of living here. You say you like it, then that's great. You've stayed all these years, so
Switzerland is a sort of puzzle of paradoxes, in that it wasn't always a rich country.
Right.
It was an extremely poor country. Even a century ago. It's a country that I appreciate because it's at a crossroads. Everyone goes through Switzerland to get across the Alps. So it's one of these wonderful countries where it's as if all of these European stories that go from north to south and east to west all come through Switzerland. And it's as if they sort of get stuck on the Alps because they snag and they sort of settle in.
Right.
And I appreciate the how can I say this? The incredible complexity of the Swiss arrangement amongst its citizens, where you have half of the population who doesn't necessarily speak the same language as the other half.
Right.
Everything seems to work.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite remarkable.
Right.
And I've always appreciated the fact that the Swiss can squabble amongst themselves, but they present a united front when it's really important.
Yes.
And
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
That seems to me to be quite a lesson actually in democracy, because no one is ever really happy. No one ever gets 100% of what
Compromising.
There's always a compromise, and that's what life and society is all about. It's all about making things work for everyone.
Right.
And I find that to be remarkable, especially in a world where it's, the polarization is evident. And that's not a good thing. And because Switzerland has managed to actually set the rules in its political system to actually favorize that compromise is remarkable.